Panicked by the horrifying possibility, Jumo envisioned his heart, filled with love for Sana, literally turning to gold. A golden heart, beautiful yet cold, unable to feel, beat, or love. In the bustling heart of Zuri, a village vibrant with colours and sounds, lived a merchant named Jumo. His reputation for shrewd dealing stretched far beyond the village, and many came to trade at his busy stall filled with exotic goods. But Jumo held a secret more extraordinary than any could guess. Anything he thought about deeply would turn into shimmering gold. At first, Jumo discovered this ability by chance. One quiet evening, lost in thought about a simple clay pot, he was shocked to find it transformed into pure gold right before his eyes. With cautious experimentation, he realized his power was triggered by intense concentration. A few pebbles, a bunch of leaves, soon even old tools became treasures in his hands. Though tempted to boast, Jumo knew better. If others learned of his power, he feared what might happen. Would they adore him or detest him? Covet his gift or seek to steal it? Thus, he kept his miraculous ability a guarded secret, confiding in no one and using it sparingly to amass a small fortune. As his collection of golden artifacts grew, so too did his pride. He draped himself in gold and lived lavishly, believing himself above those who laboured in the fields or tended to livestock. Yet beneath his opulent exterior, a sense of unease lingered. Jumo knew his wealth was built on a fragile secret. Jumo's riches brought not just comfort, but arrogance. He began to see the hard-working villagers not as neighbours, but as pawns in his grand design. He hired them for paltry sums, promising a share of profits he never intended to give. They toiled from dawn till dusk, selling his golden goods and marvelling at the endless wealth he seemed to conjure from thin air. The village of Zuri, though small, was rich in spirit and community. As Jumo's wealth increased, so did his isolation. The more he amassed, the more he desired, and his heart grew colder with each golden piece. The villagers, unaware of his secret, whispered tales of his mysterious fortune, with some even praying to be blessed as he was. But Jumo cared little for their admiration or their prayers. He relished his power over gold, over fate, over the very lives of those who served him. His mansion, once a simple trader's hut, towered over the village, a gilded fortress of solitude. Inside, Jumo plotted not just to maintain his wealth, but to multiply it, no matter the cost to those around him. On a morning bright with the promise of a busy market day, Jumo's path crossed with Sana's. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, a woman with a laugh so heartfelt it seemed to cleanse the air around her. Sana moved with a grace that belied the strength in her hands, worn from weaving, but skilled in creating beauty from the simplest materials. Jumo watched, mesmerised, as she bargained with a trader, her smile unwavering even as she secured a fair price. Her spirit, so free and unburdened by the gold that weighed heavily on his own soul, drew him in like a moth to a flame. He found himself visiting the market more often, each glimpse of her stirring a warmth in his chest that felt dangerously close to joy. But with every beat of his heart, a shadow of fear grew alongside the warmth. Jumo had spent so long thinking only of gold, of wealth, of power. Now his thoughts lingered on Sana's smile, her kindness, the lightness of her presence. And deep down, he feared what his magical ability might do if his heart dared to love. As the days passed, Jumo's obsession with Sana deepened, each glimpse of her feeding his infatuation. Her image invaded his thoughts relentlessly, her laughter echoing in his mind during the lonely, silent nights. Often, he would walk by the river, hoping to catch a sight of her, watching as she skillfully negotiated with traders or shared stories with the children by the water's edge. Sana's presence brought a sense of peace that Jumo hadn't felt in years. Her spirit, so bright and untainted by the desires that had corrupted his own, drew him closer with each encounter. Yet, as he lay in his bed made of golden sheets, surrounded by the trappings of his immense wealth, a sharp pain suddenly gripped his chest. It was his heart, he realized, struggling under the weight of his golden thoughts. The pain was unlike anything Jumo had experienced before. It was a stark, harrowing reminder of the dangers of his unique gift. Panicked by the horrifying possibility, Jumo envisioned his heart, filled with love for Sana, literally turning to gold. A golden heart, beautiful yet cold, unable to feel, beat, or love. The thought terrified him more than the prospect of losing all his wealth. In his desperation, Jumo knew he had to find a way to save himself from his own power, which seemed now to be a curse rather than a blessing. He decided to seek help, but there was no one in Zuri knowledgeable enough about such mystical afflictions. The only choice left was to confront his fears and seek counsel from Sana herself, perhaps the only person whose purity and kindness might hold the key to saving him. The next day, with a heavy yet hopeful heart, Jumo sought out Sana at the marketplace. He found her amidst the laughter of children, her face radiant as she crafted yet another of her beautiful baskets. Gathering all his courage, Jumo approached her, ready to reveal everything. His magical ability, his deepest fears, and the golden cage he had unwittingly built around his own heart. Jumo approached Sana with a mixture of dread and hope. She greeted him with her usual warm smile, completely unaware of the turmoil churning inside him. Jumo took a deep breath and began to tell his tale, his voice trembling slightly. He recounted the magical day when he first discovered his power, describing how it had brought him immense wealth, but also a deep, isolating loneliness. He revealed how his heart now ached with the fear that his affection for her might turn his own heart to gold. Sana listened intently, her brow furrowed with concern. She had always seen Jumo as the wealthy merchant, envied and admired by many, but now she saw the scared man behind the gold. After he finished his tale, there was a moment of silence that hung between them like a delicate thread. Finally, Sana spoke. "Jumo, this is a heavy burden you carry," she said softly. "Your gift is unique, but it's clear it comes with great risks. Perhaps you should seek the wisdom of Mazi, the old healer. He knows much about the mysteries of the heart and magic. He might help you find a balance between your gift and your fears." Grateful for her compassion and understanding, Jumo nodded. Sana's suggestion sparked a glimmer of hope in him. Perhaps Mazi could indeed help him navigate this peculiar curse. Feeling a newfound sense of purpose, Jumo decided to visit Mazi the very next day, hoping that the wise old healer could provide some guidance on how to control his powers without risking his life. Touched by her kindness and sensible advice, Jumo felt a strong connection to Sana, deeper than he had expected. As he left her that evening, the moonlight casting a soft glow over the village, he realized that Sana had given him not just hope for a solution, but also a reason to change the course of his life. Jumo sought out Mazi at his usual place under the ancient baobab tree. The old healer was busy sorting through his herbs and potions, but he looked up with a keen gaze as Jumo approached. "Ah, Jumo," Mazi greeted, his voice echoing slightly in the open air. "I've been expecting you. The winds whispered of your troubles." Jumo was taken aback by Mazi's knowing tone. He settled on a woven mat across from the old man, the air thick with the scent of herbs. "Mazi, I fear my gift has become my curse," Jumo confessed, his voice heavy with worry. Mazi listened intently as Jumo recounted his story, his magical ability, and his burgeoning feelings for Sana. The old healer occasionally nodded, stroking his long, white beard thoughtfully. I see," Maisie murmured once Jumo had finished. "Your gift is indeed rare and powerful. But remember, it is your heart that will decide your fate. To wield such power, you must learn to master not only your thoughts, but also your emotions. If not, the gold will indeed consume you. But how can I control it? Jumo asked, a note of desperation creeping into his voice. How do I keep my heart from turning to gold? Maisie looked at him thoughtfully, his eyes reflecting a deep wisdom. Start by doing good without expecting gold in return. Help someone not for profit, but for kindness. Your heart needs to learn the joy of giving, not just receiving. This is the balance you seek. Jumo nodded slowly, processing Mazi's words. And what of my feelings for Sana? How do I protect myself from a heart of gold? Ah, Maisie said, leaning closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. That is the deeper magic, Jumo. Love is a powerful force, and it can either save you or doom you. You must let your love for her be pure and selfless. Do not let it be tainted by your fears or your desire for control. Love her freely, and you may find that it is not a weakness, but your greatest strength. Jumo left Mazi feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. The healer's words resonated deeply, stirring something within him. He knew it wouldn't be easy to change the habits of a lifetime, but he was willing to try if it meant saving his heart and possibly winning Sana's love. Over the next few weeks, Jumo diligently followed Mazi's advice. He began by anonymously donating food and supplies to the poorer families in Zuri. Initially, giving without receiving anything tangible in return felt alien to him. But soon, a profound sense of fulfillment began to take root within his soul. However, his heart still throbbed painfully whenever he thought of Sana. These feelings were too potent, too deeply ingrained to simply ignore. He needed to confront them if he was to survive. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jumo volunteered to help rebuild a neighbour's hut that had been damaged in a recent storm. As he worked, laying bricks and mixing mortar, Sana arrived to lend a hand. They worked side by side in comfortable silence, their hands occasionally brushing as they passed tools back and forth. Jumo! Sana finally broke the silence, her voice gentle but firm. I've noticed the changes you've been making. The villagers, they respect you more now. Jumo paused, wiping the sweat from his brow. It's nothing, really. I'm just trying to balance everything, he admitted, avoiding her gaze. It's more than that, Sana insisted, stepping closer. You're becoming the man this village needed, not just the man with golden riches. It's brave, what you're doing. Jumo looked up, meeting her eyes. It's not bravery, Sana. It's necessity. My heart, it's still at risk. But helping others, it eases the burden somehow. Sana smiled, her eyes reflecting the last light of day. Perhaps your heart is learning to be golden in more ways than one, Jumo. Not from gold, but from goodness. Her words struck a chord within him, and for a moment, Jumo felt his heart beat strongly without pain. The realization dawned on him. Maybe his curse could become his blessing. Emboldened by his realizations and Sana's encouraging words, Jumo's transformation deepened. Each day presented new challenges, but also new opportunities to give more and take less. The villagers began to notice the shift not only in his actions, but in his demeanor. This new way of life was not easy for Jumo. Each act of kindness was a battle against his ingrained instincts of greed and self-preservation. But as he continued to help others, the respect from his fellow villagers grew. They began to visit his stall not out of necessity, but out of genuine regard for him. Jumo also began to see his own life in a new light. He noticed the tired faces of his workers and realized the harshness of his previous ways. For the first time, he truly felt a deep sense of guilt for exploiting them. He increased their wages and improved their working conditions, earning their genuine respect and gratitude. One day, while distributing food at the local market, Jumo overheard two villagers speaking. "Have you seen how Jumo has changed?" one asked. "It's as if the gold he once hoarded is now flowing from his heart." "Yes," replied the other, "and it seems he's found a treasure greater than any gold, his conscience." Jumo paused, hidden from view, the words of the villagers warming his heart more than any of his golden treasures ever had. His transformation was gradual, but evident. Jumo's heart felt lighter with each act of kindness, though the threat of it turning to gold was always at the back of his mind. He hoped that by truly changing, he might avoid that grim fate. As Jumo's heart continued to soften, he found himself pondering over his vast wealth. The golden trinkets and lavish decorations that filled his home no longer brought him joy. Instead, they reminded him of the greed that had once consumed him. With each passing day, the urge to use his gift for the benefit of others grew stronger. One morning, while walking through the village, Jumo witnessed a group of children studying under a tree, their teacher struggling to hold their attention without proper supplies or shelter. A thought struck him. A school, a real school made of gold, could serve these children and many generations to come. Without hesitation, Jumo began transforming various objects into gold, not for himself, but to fund the construction of a school. He hired workers from the village, paying them generously, and explained his vision. "This school will be a place of learning for all children of Zuri, a treasure far greater than any amount of gold," he announced to the gathered crowd. The villagers watched in awe as their once greedy merchant worked alongside them, laying bricks and carving desks. Never had they seen such a transformation, and their respect for Jumo deepened. With the school nearing completion, Jumo felt a peace he had never known. However, his heart still ached for Sana, whose presence had become a constant balm to his once weary soul. He realized that his feelings for her could no longer be ignored or controlled. They needed to be embraced. One radiant evening, as the sun set casting a golden glow over the village, Jumo found Sana by the river, where they first truly connected. He approached her, his heart pounding not with fear, but with hope. "Sana," Jumo began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "These past weeks, helping our village, building the school, it's all brought me a clarity I've never felt before. But there's one thing I'm still certain of: my love for you." Sana turned to him, her eyes wide with surprise and something else. Was it hope? "Jumo, I've seen the changes in you. The way you've given to others, the way you've changed. It's made me see you in a new light," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I want to be with you, Sana. Not as a wealthy merchant, but as a man who has much to give, not in gold, but in love and service. Could you love me, knowing all that I am and all that I was?" Jumo asked, holding out his hands to her. Sana stepped closer, taking his hands in hers. "Jumo, your journey has touched not just your heart, but mine as well. To see you transform not just your wealth, but your very soul. That is something truly rare and precious. Yes, I can love you. And I do." As they stood by the river, the water reflecting the fiery sunset, Jumo felt his heart swell. It did not hurt or feel heavy. Instead, it was as if his heart had finally found its true gold: love, pure and simple. Newly inspired by Sana's acceptance and love, Jumo devoted himself even more to the village. The school opened to great fanfare, and it was a success, a beacon of hope and learning. But deep down, Jumo knew the final test of his transformation was approaching: the stability of his magical gift in the face of deep emotion. As the weeks passed, Jumo noticed his powers waning. At first, he panicked, fearing losing his abilities might mean losing everything he had worked for. But as he watched the children laugh and learn in the school he had built, he realized that the true measure of his wealth wasn't in his magical ability, but in the legacy he was creating. One evening, as Jumo and Sana walked through the village, observing the prosperity and happiness around them, Mazi approached them, a knowing smile on his face. Jumo, it seems you have learned well. The balance you've found between your heart and your gift, it has changed not just you, but all of Zuri. You have passed the test not by holding on to your power, but by letting it go for the right reasons, Mazi explained, his eyes twinkling under the starlight. Jumo looked at Sana, then back at Mazi, realization dawning. So, the less I used my gift for myself, the more I gave away, the weaker it became. Exactly, Mazi nodded. Your gift was tied to your greed. As your heart changed, so did the nature of your power. It was meant to teach you the value of true wealth, not gold, but love, community, and generosity. As the first anniversary of the school's opening approached, the village of Zuri planned a grand festival to celebrate their collective achievement. It was to be called the Festival of Gold, not in honour of the wealth Jumo had brought to the village, but to celebrate the golden heart he had shown and fostered in others. The festival day was bright and clear, with laughter filling the air as villagers gathered in the central square, decorated with golden ribbons and flowers. Children performed songs and plays they had learned at the school, and everyone shared in a feast provided by local farmers and Jumo's own generous contributions. Jumo stood beside Sana watching the festivities, his heart full. "Look at all of this," he whispered to her. "I once thought my gold was my greatest asset, but I was wrong. It's these people, this community, our future together. That's the true treasure." Sana squeezed his hand, her eyes gleaming with pride and love. "You've given this village so much, but most importantly, you've given yourself a chance to be part of something greater. And in return, look at the joy, the unity, the strength you've gained." As the day turned to evening and the golden sunset cast a warm glow over the village, Jumo addressed the crowd, his voice strong and clear. "Today, we celebrate not just the gold that can be weighed and measured, but the gold within each of us. Our kindness, our courage, our willingness to grow and change. These are the true measures of our wealth." In the weeks that followed the festival, Jumo reflected on his journey. With Mazi's guidance, he penned a small book, recounting his story from greed to generosity, intending to pass his lessons on to others. He distributed this book throughout Zuri and to neighbouring villages, hoping to inspire others as he had been inspired. One day, as he walked through the village, a young boy approached him with a smile. "Mr. Jumo, I read your book. I want to be just like you when I grow up. Not because you can turn things to gold, but because you turned your heart into something even more precious." Jumo knelt down, smiling at the boy. "And you, young man, have already started on that path. Remember, the truest gold lies not in what we hold in our hands, but what we carry in our hearts." Years passed, and Jumo's life blossomed in ways he had never imagined. He and Sana were married in a beautiful ceremony by the river, surrounded by all of Zuri. Their union was not just a bond of love, but a symbol of the village's unity and strength. Jumo lived a long, fulfilling life, not as a merchant obsessed with gold, but as a revered elder who taught the children of Zuri the values of compassion, generosity, and wisdom. When his time came, the entire village mourned, but they celebrated his legacy even more. On the day of his memorial, held under the great baobab tree, Sana, now an elder herself, shared a final tribute. Jumo showed us all that wealth is not measured by the gold we accumulate, but by the love and wisdom we share. His heart was truly the greatest treasure, a golden heart in every sense. Jumo's story became a legend in Zuri, passed down through generations as a tale of transformation and truth. It taught that wealth and happiness, health, wisdom, and generosity are not contradictions, but facets of a mature personality. The village thrived becoming a beacon of hope and prosperity, a testament to the idea that when we unite in kindness and purpose, we unlock the richest treasures of human experience. Jumo's golden heart continued to inspire long after he was gone, a reminder that the truest forms of wealth are those that enrich not just ourselves, but all those around us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more captivating tales like this, please take a moment to like the video. Your support helps us grow and reach more people who appreciate these stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for updates on our latest content. Join our community and be part of our journey as we explore more fascinating narratives together. Your engagement makes all the difference.